Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
See some old friends and some new friends today. My name is Toni Theoretical, and my Dharma name given by Master Jiru is Xianning. I have been practicing here for a while, a few years, and I trained under Master Jiru's as a teacher, as a junior teacher a few years ago, two or three maybe. In this talk, I wish to expose and explain this aspect of right or skillful effort, because this is something we all need to work on, and particularly in my case, I always need to strive to improve on this effort in things, or sometimes to withdraw from making too much effort. Sometimes I tend to overexert myself, and I get myself in trouble that way too. So the Buddha has a way of teaching us this right effort or skillful effort. It's called the Samavayama, and it is part of the Noble Eightfold Path, the sixth step of the Noble Eightfold Path. First, I want to talk about applying right effort in connection with the precepts. The Noble Eightfold Path is divided, for our easier understanding, in three subgroups. First, it's wisdom. Actually, this should be last, but I listed it first. It contains right understanding and right aspiration. The aspect of morality includes right speech, right action, and right livelihood. And the aspect of concentration contains skillful effort, called Samavayama, mindfulness, Samasati, and right concentration, Sama Samadhi. Right exertion or skillful effort is a main factor to always remember to apply along the path, and in abiding to the precepts as well. Right effort walks hand in hand with mindfulness and actually supports the four satipatthanas, or the foundations of mindfulness. I'm sad to say, and I don't want to discourage you, but the Buddha never said that he is a savior. Only through our own work and diligent effort we can liberate ourselves from the suffering found in this samsaric existence. This concept can be frightening at first, but also equally encouraging, and ultimately empowering. It is only up to us, our diligence and our effort, on how far we are on the path and how much closer we can get to Nibbana in this life. The fact that it's up to us if we become free or not can seem a huge burden sometimes, but on the other hand, it creates optimism and determination in the individual, and gives hope, security, and peace of mind. So now, where do we start? How do we make the first step? How do we apply this kind, skillful effort in our daily lives? The Buddha recommends we start easy. The simplest way is to apply constant effort in abiding to the 5 precepts. As much as we think that we are moral people, we can always work on improving our relationships with others, and therefore live in deeper harmony with all beings. As we observe the precepts, we may notice some negative factors that can strangle our process and our progress on this path, just as the mud and branches may clog the gutters after the rainstorm. The primary action we need to undertake is to notice other aspects of the practice that may suffocate the progress. Being mindful and applying the 4 foundations of mindfulness, as instructed by the Buddha, constitutes the first initial step. For instance, if we are in the business of selling arms and we sit down to meditate, our mind will never be clear and tranquil. We will experience regret, remorse, guilt, and other type of hindrances may arise. Our progress will be forfeited due to the strong negative energy and the strong karmic effects, not only in the moment, but also in the past, present, and future, as we continue this business of trading arms. How do we then proceed? The Buddha breaks down further the skillful effort into 4 major parts. First of all, we can start by preventing unwholesome states to arise in the mind. Second, if they already have a reason, we need to abandon or eliminate the unwholesome state. Now, if it's already there, it's established, we can apply step 3, replace the unwholesome step with its opposite, with something positive. And fourth, we always strive to sustain the achieved wholesome states of mind. With this awareness of the precepts, we can start using skillful effort to make new choices. We are urged to choose mindful states of mind over unwholesome ones, and to cultivate wholesome mental states every moment until the unwholesome ones stop returning. So we continue making effort, stirring up energy, and exerting the mind. It's a quote from the Dhammapada. Firstly, we need strong determination and unremitting energy to do whatever we can to prevent the arising of any unwholesome, painful states of mind, such as jealousy, resentment, greed, and lust. As we are striving here, we may still encounter negative tendencies of thoughts, and at this point, we can rouse ourselves to overcome whatever detrimental mind state may arise in that moment. Thirdly, we can replace the unwholesome existing state of mind with wholesome, such as loving and kind thoughts, acts of generosity, or feelings of compassion. For instance, if we struggle with, resenting something or someone, we can always bring to mind the image of our puppy or cat or dog or what may have you. And that would definitely warm up your heart, and you will open your mind also to a new experience, to a new level of consciousness. The last method is to exert skillful effort to maintain and further cultivate the pleasant, wholesome mental states. So now that we achieved some peace and some wholesome mind state by having our thought of loving kindness and compassion towards this little animal we have in mind, we are striving to maintain this state of mind without being too much affected by what comes into our experience. Skillful effort is found and used anywhere along the path. We can apply these 4 types of effort to our thoughts, and these, which will further result in skillful thinking, skillful speech, and skillful action. For instance, if we apply skillful effort into our moment-to-moment breathing, we can achieve right mindfulness, samasati. And that is a great achievement. That is very beneficial, simple but not easy to do. Have you tried to stick with your breath? How long can you do it for? Maybe we count to 5 and we lost it. Maybe we get up to 10 if we're lucky the first time. And our mind, it will naturally take us somewhere else. We are conditioned to think and to observe and to create new thoughts and to proliferate our thoughts. So it's very hard for us to really be still and still the mind, the puppy mind or the monkey mind. So this is definitely a challenge, and that's why we are here for. That's why we come to practice together. We practice at home when we can. We can also practice when we watch our kids play, when we do the dishes and drive the car. Even though I've been guilty myself of doing other things when I drive the car in the past. I used to go to school and had a full-time job, and about 20 years ago. And I would read in my way to school in the morning. I would put my books on the wheel and I would read as I drive on 270. Very unskillful. Yes, I'm guilty. So when we apply skillful, unremitted, and joyful effort in our moral principles, we are following the precepts and we create right livelihood. Everything changes around us. We feel much better in our lives, in our experience, in our day-to-day moments. The sooner we realize through mindfulness that the mind is becoming defiled, the better off we are. In order to achieve anything in life, we need to apply constant effort. The same applies with spiritual endeavor. We cannot expect to get anywhere on our path without applying constant effort and constant unremitted mindfulness. Now, in the case that an unwholesome state of mind is there, what we do, we recognize it and use an antidote to overcome. For instance, we are folding the laundry. We may not particularly like this task, so we may think of it as boring and resenting doing it and trying to really finish it fast and be done and do other things we may like. But instead of allowing these states to arise or proliferate in our mind, we can use an antidote that can bring the mind back to maybe the dear people that would actually benefit from wearing those clothes. So that can change our mindset. But in order to discriminate that this is happening, we need to have a tool. A tool of discrimination needs to be developed in our mind and needs to be sharp. And we also need to have a good amount of wisdom to realize we need an equanimous, balanced mind in order to stay and progress on the path to Nibbana. For instance, in the spring, I like to spend time in my garden. One of the activities I do is removing weeds. In order to do that, I need to have knowledge to discriminate between plants and weeds. Similarly, in our minds, we need primarily to recognize that the mind is defiled and must start pulling the weeds growing in the field of our mind. Also, one example from the Buddha's time. A monk was struggling with thoughts of lust regarding women. So we can say that he was breaking his celibacy precept. They have an extra vow that is not in the 5 precepts. It's the more elaborated precepts that the monks and nuns need to take. So one of them is the vow of celibacy. In order to get rid of this, he used an antidote. He started to contemplate on the body as a skeleton of hip and flesh with some blood and some other disgusting fluids. So that way he can overcome his desire, his lust towards the opposite sex. Because for him that was not an option. For us, we don't have to do that precept, right? So next, on this path in the forest, a beautiful woman crossed his way, and then his husband comes to look for her. And they both encounter the same monk, which was the one practicing getting rid of lust. And he is being asked, "Have you seen a young, beautiful woman walking by?" And the monk said, "I saw a skeleton walking by." So that's one extreme way of getting rid of our lust, if we ever need to. And sometimes we need to work on certain things to a certain level, not to the extent of this, probably. And now I just brought this up because it's just so hard for us. It takes so much effort to actually do good, even to ourselves. Sometimes we feel like we are our worst enemies. So this saying is, easy it is for the good to do good. Difficult is for the evil to do good. Easy is for the evil to do evil. Difficult is for the good to do evil. So if we stay good, if we try to always follow the precepts, to be on this path, we will be doing more good than harm, and we will hopefully prevent the evil to be happening in our lives. And this continues, it is very easy to do things that are harmful to oneself. It is very difficult to do things that are beneficial to oneself. And this is for the Dhammapada 163. So we can see how our minds has been trained and conditioned to prevent negative, has not been trained actually, and conditioned to prevent negative patterns of thinking. We most likely find it very easy to criticize, to get angry, to yell when we are not happy, to complain, to worry, and to simply not be happy or content. Always wanting to achieve more, to get more, to cling to more. Steps here we can apply to protect the mind from defilement. 7 steps. Being mindful of your mental state. So here we always need to apply our mindfulness. Prevent non-reason unskillful states of mind. Be aware of the unskillful state of mind. Eradicate and replace the unskillful thought. Make effort to arise beneficial states of mind. Exert effort to maintain positive states of mind. Breathe, don't forget to smile, and repeat the process. This was kind of a review of what we already listed before. And our conditioned mind, we all can tell, its habitual tendencies are just like junk food or sugar. Once we start eating those things, we cannot easily stop. Same with our habitual tendencies. We always tend to look at the negative side of things. We always tend to react a certain way. If we notice that we are doing that, we can prevent the negative thoughts from arising, and we can start applying one of those antidotes or any other method that we may find easy for us in the moment. So, preventing negative thoughts, maybe it's easier, but I don't think, in my case, prevention, it's still the best, just like in medical science, with our diseases and so forth. It would be easier to prevent a certain process of disease to happen than to treat it. Same with preventing the mind states. If we are mindful and watchful and aware at all times, we can actually see at the very moment that they start. The sooner we catch the unskillful mind state trying to arise, the better off we are, and we can progress into the next stage of replacing it, preventing by replacing, or if it's already there, we can use the antidote to get rid of it. Now, there are some things called hindrances. Why are they hindrances? Because they like to interfere and hinder our progress. They are our teachers, actually, also. Not very kind teachers, but very tough, very rough. And sometimes we need that. So the advice we have from the Buddha in dealing with hindrances is listed from less intense to most intense. So first of all, what we can do, ignore a hindrance that may arise. Second, we can maybe divert the mind to something else. Replace the hindrance by its opposite. Reflect on the fact that every hindrance arises from certain causes and conditions and is moving, and it's also impermanent, just like everything else. Or 5, if we really have to, and we have to be this harsh and we need this kind of strong energy, the Buddha recommends we do clench our teeth, press the tongue against the palate, and apply all of our energy and effort to overcome it. Overcoming the feathers, dealing with hindrances, is no easy task. This work never stops. It is a continuous process until we become enlightened. The other method we are talking about is cultivating the positive states of mind. And this can be, again, we already have a skillful mind state that is pleasant and positive. We try to continue to sustain that thought. So this kind of gentle, joyous, skillful, and persistent mindful effort, combined with our meditation practice and more practice, is what Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh also recommends. And I wanted to show you this picture of the biggest Buddha statue in the southern hemisphere that I was able to visit. It's in the Crystal Castle in Byron Bay, next to Brisbane, Australia. And they are very proud of it, so I was very happy that I could see it as well. Now, this is the end of the slide. I do have a little more if we have time, because I thought that we went too much into this kind of striving effort. Effort. Sounds like we always have to do something. But sometimes we need to apply this effort into knowing how to let go. As humans, we always want to do things, to control things, to do, and to do even more. It's always about doing. How about letting go? The hardest things for us is to let go. Sometimes if we let go, everything happens on its own anyway, and it happens easier and faster, and we don't cause us any harm. But we do it because we are human, we are conditioned, we are trained this way, we live in this society, we are very competitive, and we need to achieve and get and fulfill our tasks, and we get clingy to physical things, to people, and we get attached to our possessions. So here I want to bring the practice right, not hard. So we might think right effort means practicing hard, but that's not always the case. The middle way discourages us to force ourselves to endure ascetic practices or push ourselves to exhaustion. The Buddha said, right effort is no effort, is letting go. A good simile here I would like to use is learning how to swim. The first thing we need to do when we learn to swim is to let go, so we can float. If we drop a few days old baby in the water, he will instinctively float or even swim. This is because this baby did not develop fear, doubt, and cleanliness in regards to the water. In our case, because we are fearful and anxious and mostly insecure, being conditioned by life events, we cling to the teacher or trash around, possibly causing ourselves or both of us to drown. And I bring this example because I did learn to swim as an older adolescent, and I had a lot of fear about water. Even though I was born by the sea, somehow water for me was not safe. And my dad didn't know exactly how to teach me to swim, like a teacher these days would do for the kids at the YMCA. So I think I became even more afraid. I had no confidence in myself that I can swim. I had no confidence in my teacher because I already had a bad experience that dad dropped me and I got under the water. So that caused even more fear. And I had no confidence in the water, that the water would hold me, because I haven't allowed myself to have that experience. So I was struggling. I was trying to cling to the water. You cannot cling to water, because I always used to cling to something if I want to save myself, right? That didn't work. Cling to the teacher, I wasn't so sure if that would save me since he dropped me before. So I was very uncomfortable to learn this process of swimming, because I also had trouble letting go, having no confidence and no trust. Then eventually I learned to swim. It took me a while to actually allow myself to float. First I was holding my breath, so I would tend to sink. My head, my ears would get water. It was miserable. But then when I watched my kids learn to swim, I took them in the water with me, and then the teacher said, and we did fun things, and go and catch this fish, and go and catch this other toy, dive under the water, no problem. They had the right setting, they had a parent that they trusted, they had a teacher that was positive and outgoing and confident. So they had confidence also in themselves, because they didn't have the fear that we have, and they are not conditioned. They started at 2 or 3 maybe. So it was so easy to see them actually learn to let go and float, and swimming was like natural, like a duck. You put a duck in the water, she will know how to swim, or like a fish underwater, of course. Yes, so the doubt is also a big problem for us, doubt that we can do it. So the doubt can be similar to a heavy weight or chain that we put on our leg that will make us drown. Letting go. So we need to have maybe some trust based on some experience and faith in the practice, and the results would follow, because this same simile can be applied in our practice. As soon as we have a good teacher and we trust that teacher, as soon as we have confidence that we can step on the path and that we can, trust the teachings of the Buddha, because we experienced some of its results already. Maybe we applied one of the precepts, or we started to meditate and we saw how good it is for our body and mind. Then we build trust and confidence based on experience that can lead us to want to do more. If the practice becomes a chore, that's a problem, the Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh says. The fourfold right diligence is nourished by joy and interest. If your practice does not bring you joy, you are not practicing correctly. Now I will read a script from the Dalai Lama. He says also, we have a saying in Tibet that engaging in the practice of virtue is as hard as driving a donkey uphill, whereas engaging in distractive activities is as easy as rolling boulders down the hill. It is also said that negative impulses arise as spontaneously as rain, and gather momentum just like water following the course of gravity. What makes matters worse is our tendency to indulge in negative thoughts and emotions, even while agreeing that we should not. It is essential, therefore, to address directly our tendencies to put things off and while away our time is meaningless activities and shrink from the challenge of transforming our habits on the grounds that is too great of a task. In particular, it is important not to allow ourselves to be put off by the magnitude of others' suffering. The misery of millions is not a cause for pity. Rather, it is a cause for developing compassion. End of quote. Fundamentally, the meaning of right effort can be expressed in a simple way. It's the effort to be aware, the effort to see clearly, to pay attention. That's right effort. One Zen master was asked one day by his pupil, "Would you give me the essence of your teachings, master?" Master, meditating, he wrote down, "Attention." Student goes away, practices more, comes back. "Master, can you now give me the essence of your teachings?" Master again wrote, "Attention, attention." Pupil goes again, meditates more, mindfulness more, this and that, trying to be good practitioner, comes back and asks, "Master, is there anything else?" The master said, "Attention, attention, attention." That is to be present, to see clearly. Right effort is so much the effort to make the world a different place, as it is the effort to understand the nature of this world, of our body, our mind, and this life. I hope we can all work together with the right, skillful, and joyous effort so we can step on the path with peace and joy and with determination as well. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free of physical and mental suffering. Thank you.